Hello and welcome to Wasted Plotential, where we discuss the wasted potential of our favourite plotlines. It's funny to think that a year ago, the big divisive talking point in MK11 surrounded whether or not Jax's ending fit with his character. While I still disagree that it fits with his motivations in this game's story, it does at least fit with Jax's overall character. He's a good person and he wants to improve the lives of millions. But sadly, the same cannot be said for Sindel. I've talked at length about why MK11's total inversion of Sindel's character is disrespectful, problematic, and inferior to what we had before, and I've yet to see a decent argument to support the new direction. It's mostly Sindel is their character so they can do what they want. Sean and Dom didn't create her. She has agency now. She was still under mind control in 2011 and X, or she would have attacked Quan Chi who murdered her, so she spent twice as long without agency. Old Sindel was boring. She wasn't, and you'd know that if you'd actually played those games. Or I like Femdom. And don't even get me started on that, it's subversive crap. She was already a subversion because she had the typical evil gothic queen look but turned out to actually be a hero. A subversion of a subversion is playing it straight. You're trying to sound smart to justify your preference, but you just look stupid or insincere as a result. It's like when DMC was coming out and most of the game's defense was actually just a bunch of disingenuous grifters using the opportunity to shit on the old games. There was even one asshat who said Sindel's been evil in more games than she has good, 3-2, so she should be evil. This is the level of bad faith arguments I've been dealing with for the last 12 months. It doesn't mesh with even just this timeline on its own, where Sindel's 2011 bio and ending said she was being controlled and was actually a good person, and Quan Chi called her one of Raiden's friends in MKX. Whether you preferred this version or not, without an explanation for why she's suddenly evil, this is an objective flaw in the storyline because it contradicts everything we know about the character, and her role in earlier games no longer makes any sense. And the devs' excuses for this, true to form for MK11, don't hold up under scrutiny. They claim they took inspiration from Lady Macbeth, which is just baffling to me. For one, Lady Macbeth actually felt guilt for the things she did, as highlighted in the famous sleepwalking scene. This Sindel has no problem brutally beating her own daughter or even killing her. Maybe if Sindel had killed Jared and then turned good out of guilt, only to be forced back into evil by Quan Chi, it might have been able to work, both as a nod to Lady Macbeth and as a reveal about Sindel. Without the guilt though, it works as neither. And if that was your source of inspiration, doesn't that imply that Khan's villainy wasn't as bad until Sindel started whispering in his ear? Kinda like Regime Wonder Woman, with whom they already tried to take influence from Lady Macbeth, and look how that turned out. An irredeemable monster who is completely unrecognisable as the heroic character she's supposed to be. But she, at least, had the excuse of being a poorly written alternate universe version who initially served as a dark reflection of the real Diana, not a botched retcon of the same version we've always had. I mean, when you make Regime Wonder Woman look like a more accurate portrayal of her original incarnation by comparison, you've seriously fucked up. I'm starting to think the creatives at NetherRealm have serious issues when it comes to women. Maybe that's why they overcompensate with their shallow and blatant virtue signaling.
But I miss your skimpier attire.
I do not dress for you, Shao Kahn.
I mean, Jesus Christ, can you guys not? And with Aftermath solidifying this god-awful, totally inaccurate, and uninteresting new take as canon, at least until a better writer comes in and fixes this shit show, hint hint, now's a good time for me to step in and show how much better Sindel's role in Aftermath could have been had it been written by writers who actually respect the canon and characters they're working with. Again, hint hint. I've got a few ideas for how to make this work better without changing the narrative itself all that much. Version 1. The Banshee spirit that appears in Sindel's attacks now but is never explained. Seeing how Sindel is revived inside the soul chamber, the Banshee is a soul Shang Tsung extracted and placed into Sindel's body as a means of controlling her as part of his grand scheme. Alternatively, the Banshee could be Sindel herself trying to break free of his control, but let's focus on the bigger idea. Shang sends Sindel to rescue Khan, using her to earn Khan's trust in him, rather than Khan and Sindel just somehow thinking that trusting Shang Tsung is a good idea for no reason at all. During the confrontation with Kitana, Sindel is able to break free, and she and Kitana end the chapter by killing Khan themselves. Version 2. Sindel is secretly evil. She frees Khan and is confronted by Kitana rather than Shiva. Sindel kills Kitana and delays Kitana's forces from travelling to Chronicles Keep. Meanwhile, Shiva pledges the Shokan to Khan's service. Khan and Sindel fight their way through Chronicles' forces and do serious damage to them. Once the way is clear, Sindel betrays Khan just as Kitana and her forces arrive. It turns out that Sindel had proposed a scheme to Shiva and Shang Tsung where she would pretend Shang was controlling her as a gift for Khan. She then killed a new Kitana clone Shang had created, the hint being that Kitana isn't wearing her mask anymore but the clone is, to solidify Khan's trust. They then let the Emperor clear a path for the heroes before revealing the truth. She and Kitana kill him, and Sindel is thankful to Shang for the opportunity. Version 3. Sindel is evil because Chronica can manipulate certain moments in a person's individual timeline to alter who they are as a way of gaining more allies without too much power needed. She did this to Sindel, Cabal, Eren, and maybe Scarlet at the behest of Khan and Kano. This could be irreversible for them, or it could be possible for their true realities to break through somehow, setting up a return of the real Sindel and Cabal. I would make a version where she really was evil all along, but it doesn't fit at all, and I'm here to fix MK's poor continuity and not indulge in it. Regardless of version, aside from 3A, Sindel and Kitana confront Shang when he takes the crown, and Shang kills them both, deciding not to take their souls out of respect for either their ability to circumvent such powerful magic, or Sindel's wonderful scheme that played right into his hands. If Liu Kang wins, Kitana is seen alongside him in the new timeline, as in the base game's best ending. If Shang wins, she and Sindel are instead seen as his servants in his new era, respectively ruling Outworld and Edenia on his behalf, as he only intends to conquer the realms, not merge them, since he knows about the one being who is not below the Titans, Dom. If your actual writing couldn't make your shitty antagonist threatening, claiming on Twitter that she's above the character who represents the end of the universe itself certainly won't. You had your chance. Stop it. And a small detail that works with any scenario, even the canon one. After beating Geras at the Soul Chamber, his absence from this point on is justified by Ermac appearing from inside the chamber. Jameson Price is still around as the announcer, and the character has a new model, so a cameo where he pledges loyalty to Khan and is commanded to keep Geras busy for him would be a nice addition. Of course, you could also finally pay off the Jared thing with him helping restore the true Sindel. With these scenarios, Sindel remains heroic, but we still get to explore the villainous version of her for people who like that, and to keep the twist a surprise. Aftermath tried to be surprising, but Sindel's acting was too obvious, so it failed. With MK11 Sindel being set in stone and unsalvageable at this point, it's time for her fans to spread the word. Make videos, articles, stories, art, anything that explains or showcases how much better Sindel is than her evil twin sister / clone Twindel, which is actually another better explanation than what NetherRealm came up with. Make it clear to the developers and Twindel's fans that this new take is not empowering, it is not interesting, and it is not acceptable to completely change who a character is and has always been for longer than the majority of the current employees have been working on the franchise. If they can't respect the characters enough to try and keep them consistent instead of completely reinventing them because nuance and juxtaposition are too difficult, guys, then they shouldn't be working on the series. Let Dom do whatever on NetherRealm's new IP, but leave MK to people who actually respect it. Yeah, fine people here. I'd like to talk here about some cool creators of some good Sindel content that's a lot more worthy of your time than MK11. First is Twenny Art, whose wonderful Kill the Pretender type art I was thankfully allowed to use in my other Aftermath Sindel video. There's plenty of non-Twindel gets hers art there as well, but this stuff is just spectacular. Second is Danielle Cast, who drew that comic of Sindel's change of heart. Danielle also has a few MK fanfics and even a work-in-progress comic that sees Kitana lose her battle with Khan in the base game, only to be saved by an unlikely new ally. Third, we have ComradeKittyCat, whose article Empowerment vs Emancipation, What Went Wrong with MK11 Sindel does a very good job of debunking the notion that Sindel was made empowered by the Retcon. Fourth, BrownGonzo, whose work seems to tend more towards the comedic, like with this fun one. I may as well plug myself too while I'm here. In addition to the Ruination of Sindel playlist, MK Chronicles has a number of stories that feature or star Sindel. Those are The Kindred Souls, The Royal Redemption, The Royal Reunion, and The Princess's Destiny. In light of recent events, the next story is being pushed back, and I'm going to be making a Sindel one instead, so look forward to that. And we have a few others which can all be found in replies to the tweet in the description. Feel free to reply with more, be it yours or someone else's, so we can make a grand collection and show people who Sindel really is.